Taurus is never far away from a Pisces. A Taurus is never far away from a Gemini. Water and air is the two elements that Mother Nature needs to essentially look after her ecosystem. And based on the context of your lineage, paternally and maternally, based on the context of what needs to be flowed, what needs to be aired out, there's a reason why a Pisces is a particular family member. There's a reason why a Gemini is a particular family member. There's a reason why the Libra is a particular family member. Mother, ugh. There's purpose. It's not coincidental. So there's something for you to learn, Taurus, elementally, not as your name. Forget your name. Forget, the mind and the emotions. I'm trying to tap into your spiritual, intuitive energy because I spot this in my readings quite often about the zodiac sign. I think people forget that this is Mother Earth, not just Earth. So, the Mother Earth, like having a plant, wants to essentially establish a relationship in nurturing. And if that water sign was not nurtured, then you must learn from the lack of nurturing in the Pisces, in the Cancer, or the Scorpio, because you will see it in your obligation to nurture. Same thing with the air sign. If the air sign is not flowing, and the air sign ironically is your mother or your father, you're going to notice that the air, in how they have a relationship with that particular element, you're going to see the air is like trapped. So the air is not flowing in their life. It feels like there's a boxed environment where air is concerned. So the person will be very limited in their experiences, limited in their viewpoint, limited in growth, whether this is mom or dad. So the two most intuitive signs, or elements, I should say, water and air, they are there to purposely teach you something about yourself and what not to essentially repeat. But if the Taurus becomes a people pleaser to karma, then you repeat what has been done that actually was placed there for you to learn from and not repeat. And with a lot of air elements, which is extremely hectic as a parent, with a lot of water elements, which is extremely hectic as a parent, if their relationship with the element is not flowy and expansive as air and water should be, if it's not deep and wide and vast, so if their emotional capacity is limited, then you know for a fact that there was a block with nurturing pertaining to their parents, a block with intuitive understanding and acceptance with their upbringing. So you're not supposed to people please the karma and the trauma. You're supposed to learn from what you see with the Libra, learn from what you see with the Pisces, and then literally do the opposite of what they never got to do, either with their parents. And if you do have a relationship with a mom who is flowy and she's Pisces, a mom that is flowy and she's a air sign, whichever air sign, Libra, Aquarius, then essentially you get to benefit from that flow because that's your inheritance. Same thing with a water sign. You get to benefit from that flow because that's your inheritance. The water flows, so you see emotion, you watch it regulated. You see affection, you watch it regulated. If that was not your perception and upbringing, your relationship with Taurus will either feel like it needs to mother the element, nurture the element that is being confined, but it will control you because both water and air are very controlling and masculine environments. They're not really nurturing environments. So you will be at the liberty of what is holding them back, and you will end up in trying to people please. You will end up taking on that karma yourself in either people pleasing, in nurturing, in giving, in being scared to disappoint, in feeling like you cannot be released from the water, and suffocated by the air because there's a lack of air. The same is true for fire, like a plant. I know you guys have a thing for plants. Um, as you get older, you start developing a relationship with your green fingers. And I know whether it's a balcony or whether it's a house plant, I know you have a thing with your plants. Mother Earth. Notice with your plants what they teach you. The sun can't be too exposed to a plant. The air can't be too exposed to a plant, and overwatering can't be too exposed to the plant. So just like you can't leave your monstera out in the sun for too long and it needs deflected light, you start realizing that you need to balance out each elemental experience in equal measure with your life, Taurus. That's why you were born so sensitive, to know the measurement of enough. And that is essentially another way of saying establishing a boundary with each element that maybe in your mother, your brother, your siblings has not established a boundary. So if that water wasn't clean, you end up people pleasing dirty water. If the air wasn't cleared out, you inherit the dirty air. If the fire was confined or wild, then you don't get to get the pleasure of a flame. Instead, you have this wild, unpredictable, fire that is very harsh and again super masculine. You are born with the Mother Earth element. There needs to be a boundary, just like there's boundaries with the elements and the plants. The plants can't stand in one place for too long, can't not get nurtured in water for too long. The plants all have a enough measured approach with each element. Not too much light, not too much water, not too much exposure or fertilization, NPK, all of that stuff. And a lot of patience, time, and just leaving the plant, allowing it to find itself in space. That's literally what you need, Taurus. Not to be controlled and not to feel like you need to go, go, go. Just like the plant, you can't rush the growth. You got to sometimes leave it, and when you leave it, you realize it grows more. You are exactly the same, Taurus. So when I teach in the boot camp in April, when I teach you about your element, you are going to get a very in-depth understanding intuitively about this. Not just talk. We're going to practice this. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it. The more you also slow down, the more awareness you'll have of the context of why a particular zodiac sign in air, water, or fire, or earth is within your context. It will be easy because if we are in a boot camp together, it's easier to feel you out and sense your context. If you do a reading, it's easier to sense it. If you do a natal chart, uh, hell, I can tell you your natal chart is a family tree basically. So I could break it down for you. But either way, if you're joining the Taurus Bootcamp, email me and we're gonna do this work where we not just understand it in theory, but we practice so that we can see how to nurture the water and why that water is our mother or our father, why the air is the mother or the father, why is the fire the mother and the father, why was this particular element chosen for us as a sibling, grandmother, grandfather, and the pattern to learn from these elements, not just to see it and then say, ah, it's probably just there for fun. No, there's an intuitive genius behind that particular experience with that particular element. But boundaries and measured experiences with each element is what you want. Too much air, suffocate. Too much water, suffocate. Too much fire, suffocate. Boundaries, Taurus. Boundaries. I'll see you in April. 3 weeks, 3 days. Email me if you're joining. Only also approach if you're ready to be outside of your masculine. I'm not here to deal with your full of shit nature. I'm here to deal with your feminine energy, not your masculine energy. If you can't slow down and get off coffee, life will humble you. Don't worry about me. Life will do the work that I'm going to help the others with.